real quick.
Can you hear me? You got me off mute, Dave? Can you hear me?
You there, Chris?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Can you hear Chris all the way in the back? Perfect.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right. Well, thanks for accommodating me here. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I guess the Hurricane Sandy got kind of put a kibosh on things. But let me spend a little bit of time. Thanks, Dave, for the intro. And I guess we've got about 30 minutes, so I'm going to try to condense an hour presentation into about 30 minutes and leave some time for questions at the end, and feel free to also follow up with us afterwards. But I won't spend a whole lot of time on introductions. Dave already did that. We'll get into some of the industry challenges. What is BIM cloud computing? I'll talk a little bit about the AEC Collaboration Hub, and then really get into the questions. And that's really what we're all here today, is to look at new ways of applying technology to the design process. All right. Just a little bit more info. I am not an architect. I'm not an engineer. I'm an IT guy. I've been doing this a long time. I've got a couple articles I published on AECBYTES. If you haven't read them, you can. I think they're still online. I've also got 2 chapters on BIM in the cloud in Mastering Revit Architecture 2011 and 2013. 2013 was the updated one, so you're going to hear a lot of the same information that I wrote in those articles, and I speak all over the place when I'm not being a CIO in the cloud, so to speak. This is Advance2000. We serve pretty much, like Dave said, a full-service IT company, 6 industries we serve. Of course, here today we're talking about the AEC, but we also serve the healthcare, government, education, legal, and the manufacturing sectors. All right, what are some of the challenges that we're all facing? Well, what would the impact be if you could do real-time collaboration across your entire firm, all your offices, all over the country? How would your profitability improve if all firms on the project were working together in real time? So not just your firm, but your consultants. And do owners want their buildings completed faster and at a lower cost? That's kind of a dumb question, but I want to ask that. And then, do you have a good disaster recovery and business continuity plan? Hurricane Sandy, for example. We've had clients that lost power in their office, but were not down because their business was in our cloud, our data center. All right, first let me kind of define what do we mean by cloud. First and foremost, we're turning IT into a utility. So your servers, your desktops, your telephony, backup software, everything that you need to run your business is sitting in our data center, i.e. cloud, and it becomes a service. And you don't have to buy it all yourself. It's just available to you on a rental basis. It gives you the ability for on-demand access to scalable computing. Hey, Autodesk comes out with a new version. I need 16 gigs of RAM now. Very easy to increase your RAM in the cloud. We're changing your IT spend from a capital expense into an operating expense. And by the way, the operating expense in the cloud is lower than your current operating expenses and capital expenses. And perhaps the obsolescence of the PC. We've got tablets, we've got MacBooks. We can run these applications in a data center on a massive server, and so the need for PCs are becoming less and less. And then finally, we want to lower your cost and provide faster computing, which yields better productivity for you and your firm. All right, what are some of the business drivers why people want to adopt the cloud? Believe it or not, it's not cost. Cost is number 2. It's the agility and speed of being able to change IT to meet your business needs. Hey, I just won this big project. I got to ramp up 20 people. I need desktops. I need server space. We got to get this project done. The cloud can respond much more quickly to that scenario than having to go out, okay, now I got to go out and buy a server, now I got to go out and buy all these laptops, get them configured, deployed, and so forth. So it's very, at the same time, if you need to shut something off, we can shut it off, we can move things around. It's that agility, the ability to react to your business needs. And all this is just another Gartner slide. It just basically says cloud computing is here to stay. By the end of 2013, just about every firm is going to be doing something in the cloud, whether it's just their email or storage or backups or desktops or whatever. It's just a better way to work. It's an IT best practice. When you can start getting twice the IT capability for half the cost, people tend to take notice. All right, well, first I want to clarify two terms. One is what I would call a project cloud. So this is firms, that say, I want to run BIM, I want to run Revit, I want to run various design apps, SketchUp, whatever, and we'll stand it up on a virtual desktop in our private cloud, our data center. This allows you to do Revit model collaboration. It has all the virtual servers you need to store your file and to gain access remotely, etc. And now you can access this project cloud from anywhere in the United States, as long as you've got less than 100 milliseconds latency on the network, and you've got about a good broadband connection that ranges from 2 to 5 megs of bandwidth. And that gives you, the IT staff redundancy and 24/7 coverage, which because of the cloud engineers. And so this is what I call, you now have a sandbox. You've got a sandbox in which to do your project. We've virtually co-located this project team onto one LAN in one data center, even though they're working all over the country. Now the next thing, most firms start with a project cloud and kind of build on it. Then it comes the question, hey, Revit's working great. I can collaborate in real time with this tool. Now can I add my email in there? Oh yeah, I also use Newforma for my business. Can I put Newforma in the cloud? And oh yeah, what about my financial like BST or Deltek? And then SharePoint and on QuickBooks, it goes on and on and on. And in fact, even at Advance2000, because we are a full-service IT company, we can run all of this in our data center, including PBX, cloud phone system. I'm talking to you on our hosted PBX cloud phone system. I'm in Charlotte, my PBX is in Buffalo, and you guys are in Rochester. And so that's really, it's the same thing. It's just got, like I say, it's the same virtual servers. We got more of them. Access it from anywhere, IT staff. And so now this sandbox is an IT cloud sandbox. It just basically has more people and toys. So you've got a project cloud, and you've got an IT cloud. And I want to kind of show you the physical setup, the way these things work, and then you'll kind of get a picture. This is kind of the traditional IT. This is probably the way a lot of you are set up now. You've got 3 offices, Office 1, 2, and 3, and you have all of your IT assets that you need to run your business in that office. You've got your servers, you've got your PBX phone system, your PCs, etc. And then you just kind of, do a carbon copy of this at each office. And that's just the way we had to do it in the past, because I couldn't, the bandwidth wasn't that good. It was expensive, and I just had to kind of copy files back and forth. Well, now with the changes in fiber optic technology, Metro Ethernet, the costs are falling, the virtualization protocols are getting better. This is what we're doing now in the cloud. So we have our Advance2000 data center, which is right down the road from you guys over in, it's actually Williamsville, eastern Buffalo. We've got all the virtual servers, all the virtual PBXs, the virtual desktops in that data center, all on generator, HVAC, everything else. And so basically, we take out all of those servers and phone systems from your offices and stuff them into the data center. So then all you have in your office is some kind of what I call a client access device. That could be a terminal. I'll show you some examples of those. Terminal, MacBook, laptop, whatever. A Metro Ethernet circuit, high bandwidth circuit going into your office, and a switch, and printers. That's pretty much it. That's the way we're changing things. Now, these are some of the client access devices I was telling you about. You could have basically you hear a lot about BYOD, bring your own device. Well, the cloud enables that. Here's some people like the MacBook Air, whatever. Some of the tablets, the PC-based tablets. Here are your traditional tower desktops. You don't have to go out and buy all new stuff. You can use what you have, dual monitors, whatever. People hook into their phones. Most of our cloud engineers will support your cloud from their phones. They'll be at their kid's soccer game, and they'll be able to log in and do stuff. iPads, and these are some new offerings from HP and Wise provide. These are terminals. These are zero-client dumb terminals. Kind of go back 25 years. They sit on your desk and launch as a remote Windows desktop. Works very well, and you have no data sitting on your desk. It's all remote in the data center. And this is basically a high-def monitor with one of these guys built into it. So you just plug in a network cable, mouse and keyboard, and you're off. So you've got a lot of different options on ways to connect with the cloud. And so you've got people that maybe their desktops are aging, and rather than replace them with more desktops, they replace them with $500 tablets or lower cost terminals or something else that lets them go mobile. You don't have all your computing power on your desk anymore. It's in the data center. Now, I'm actually going to go live. This is an example of the screen. I'm going to try this. I'm going to log into the cloud. So right now we use VMware View. We also have Citrix, and there's pros and cons to both of these, and we're experts in both of them. But I'm actually sitting on a Lenovo laptop, giving this presentation. I can log into the cloud. Logged in. And I'm sitting on a good broadband connection. I'm on a 50 by 5 connection. And I've already opened up, let's hide this thing. I've already opened up Revit. But you can see here, like I said at the beginning, I'm not an architect or an engineer, and I'm an IT guy, but I might be able to spin this. And you guys kind of get the idea. So I'm sitting in Charlotte controlling a virtual desktop that's in Buffalo, and you're watching it in Rochester. And let me, so it's regenning, and I'm on let's just show you a floor plan. But I'm on a 16 gig, 2-core virtual desktop. And you can see here if I want to run Office, it just pops up that fast. I don't have emails. And that's how it works. And you've got all of your assets that you need. It's just a Windows desktop. You can see here like you would normally see, but this is a workstation sitting in the cloud. And most of our clients run a 16 gig 2-core. And so say I'm working at the office, and I got a rendering or something kicked off, and I want to go home and eat dinner with the family. I just disconnect my desktop, and it's still running. It's running there. I can pick up my laptop and go home, eat dinner, and then log on later, and it will reconnect, and it will be finished. It will be sitting right there where it was. So that's just a quick little demo there. Just a little bit more detail. This is what's sitting in the data center. We've got massive amounts of racks of CPU memory that we use for all of our desktops and servers. We've got massive, hundreds of terabytes of storage, and we just hook these things together. We carve out what you need to run your project or your business. And people ask me, well, how much does this cost? It's a custom solution depending on what you need. Are you talking about a small project or a 1,000-person company? But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what people are getting excited about. I gave you an example of a 5-user cloud and a 10-user cloud. These would be typical project clouds. Or say if I had and this would be a 2-core 16 gig desktop, just like I just logged in on, 2 virtual servers, one for the file server and one for your security server that'll let you log in remotely, 200 gigs of project data, internet access, data center security, 24 by 7 IT support. It's $900 a month for a 5-person team, and it's almost a little under $1,400 a month for a 10-user team. And you got 1, 2, 3-year agreements. But that's what it, and the people that have told us, they said that this cost is nothing compared to what I have to spend on the project, plus the fact that I've got to, sometimes it takes me days to realize I have a collision or a conflict in the model, whereas this is real-time feedback, instantaneous, just like you're working in real time, because you are. All right, next I want to just kind of, and we'll save the questions to the end. I want to talk about the collaboration hub capability. So you've got your cloud, you've got your BIM project cloud. Now what can you do with it besides just working on Revit projects? Well, with this, our Advance2000 hosted cloud, what we're doing is enabling this IPD process, integrated project delivery, or building supply chain, whatever you want to call it. There's this ecosystem of clouds forming in our data center. We've probably got 3 or 4 dozen firms now, and I've got probably 100 firms demoing this cloud. And so it's just continuing to grow, where you can have architects, engineers, contractors all working together on the same project. And I'm going to show you kind of 2 scenarios, because of we're a little short on time today, on how we collaborate between firms in the cloud. So you take a typical, I'll call it a single project cloud. So I've got, maybe one cloud. I'm doing a hospital with 20 designers in it, and I'm dealing with 7 companies involved. So that's multi-firm, single cloud. So the owner, and this is a true scenario, the owner of the hospital bought a cloud from us to do this project, 20 people, and they passed out the logins to all of their design team. And so say this project was called Project 1000, project number 1000, and under that Project 1000 is this directory structure. You've got an admin directory, you've got the architecture directory, you've got the electrical, mechanical, and so on, plumbing, structural. And each one of those firms, we enable their desktops to log in. So the architect will have read-write to the architect directory, but read-only to the engineering directories. The mechanical guys will have read-write to theirs, so only they can change their models, but read-only to the other ones. They can all link everybody's models, but only that firm can change their models, and they can see the changes in real time. This is what I call walking before you run, and this is how people are working right now in our cloud. So the lead firm procures, it could be the owner, but it's usually the lead firm, and they basically invite everybody into the cloud, and they work. Now, I will say that everybody asks me, what about Autodesk licensing? Are they providing that? No. Autodesk requires you to have a network license to work in the cloud, and you have to BYOL, bring your own license. So each of these firms, we would basically point their cloud desktop to their license server through a VPN tunnel, and everybody would use their own licenses to work. But other than that, the cloud infrastructure is usually purchased by the lead firm. All right, now, let's talk about the other scenario where you're running now, and I'll walk you through this. Multiple firms collaborating with multiple clouds. It's getting kind of hairy. All right, so I've got an architect that has bought a cloud from Advance2000, and they've got, say, their entire company. They've got all their new forma, their email, everything. They've got the cloud desktops and so forth, all the resources they need. And they're working on Project 1000. And then there's engineer that also has their own cloud. They've got all their IT in the cloud. And they're working on Project 2000. And you got a contractor, same story, their own cloud, working on Project 3000. And we got this other owner who also has some partners, architects and engineers they always work with, and they're working on Project 4000. All right, now what happens, how do you start working together? Now we can start doing, if all of these firms have their cloud in our data center, we can do secure cross-connects to connect their clouds so that they can work on projects. So this architect of Project 1000 needs an engineer. So this engineer is we're going to connect into Project 1000 so an engineer can work on the architect's project. And now the architect also needs a contractor. So this contractor will connect their cloud to Project 1000. And then the owner, the owner doesn't have their own cloud, but the architect invites their owner into their cloud. So that's what that shows. And now Project 2000, this engineer is leading that, and he's going to use the same architect. So the architect is now mapped over to Project 2000. The engineer wants to use this contractor down here. And this is the way, by the way, it's working in real life now. And now we've just got a technological solution to solve all this. And now this engineer, Project 2000, is the owner down here. And the owner of Project 4000 wants to use this contractor, but this owner is using this architect and this engineer for Project 4000. So you can see how complex this could get. And now everybody has their own cloud, but they want to work together. And this is what I call running. So the project data is stored in the lead firm's cloud, and the stakeholders map to the drive. So for example, this engineer wants to work on Project 1000. I don't have to copy the Project 1000 files over here. He just maps to this cloud because it's in the same data center over gig switches. Very fast, data doesn't even move. And Advance2000 manages the secure connections as projects come and go. So whoever's the owner of this relationship or the lead of this project, they instruct us which connections to make to which cloud firms. Pretty cool seeing this stuff work. Quickly, this is just a sampling of some of the firms in our cloud right now. It's more than I can fit on this page now. We've got Canon Design, which is the closest to you all. They're headquartered there in the Grand Island. Probably 1,300 people, 20 offices or so. Quorum Architects, they're down in Dallas. You got Wendell, I think that's up in your area as well. SAIC out of Oklahoma City, they're working all over the country. ANF is in Memphis. Mastering is in Columbia, South Carolina. Little is in Charlotte, plus 5 other offices. Amenta Emma is in Hartford. HDR is in LA, Carolina. So they're all over. Urban Studios down in Tampa. And these guys could all work together if they have a common project. And this is kind of just there's actually 8 scenarios that people could use in our cloud. I only talked about 2 of them today. The rest is for another time. And see, how do we begin? Typically, we have a 3-step process. Our clients try the cloud, they use the cloud, and then they embrace the cloud. And by try the cloud, we mean we provide free demo accounts. If you're interested in trying this out, call up Dave or Steve, and we'll get you set up with a free demo account, maybe 2 if you want to test the collaboration. We'll let you play with that for a week or 2 to get the idea, test it from different internet connections, test it from different types of computing devices, and then you're going to love it. And then people move into a pilot. Let's say, all right, let's actually do a real project on a small scale, 5, 10 people, and the minimum commitment is 2 months. So it's not a long-term commitment to try an actual project. It's only 2 months of service, and that's what I showed you some of the prices there. A 5-person, 2-month project cloud is about $2,000, $2,500 total. Not a big investment. And then after the pilot, you can decide, all right, do I want to use the Advance2000 cloud as just for project? Do I want to move more services? Do I want to use it for my business? Do I want to work with consultants, et cetera, et cetera? You decide how you want to embrace the cloud, and we put together a migration plan. And so we've got, when we started this probably 2 years ago, I probably had 5 to 10 firms demoing our environment. Right now, as of today, there's about 100 firms demoing as we speak. And I've got firms in all different facets of this phasing. And down here, just the point here, I've got a group on LinkedIn, the AEC Collaboration Hub group, and it's a private group, and it's only available to the firms that are in our cloud. This is how they connect with each other to say, hey, I got a project in Dallas. Any structural engineers in the cloud that can help me? That kind of stuff goes on there. And that's pretty much it. I'll open this up for questions. That's what our cloud will look like when all these firms are collaborating and all these connections are made. I'm remote. You can certainly reach out to me anytime, but Dave and Steve are there with you. Questions, comments?
Any questions for Chris? Yeah. Can you go back to the slide for the pricing, Chris, please? We're looking for the 10 user. It was $1,364, $62.
Yeah.
Obviously, the pricing can change depending on how much work you do.
What's the question?
We had a question just regarding some of the pricing for the 10 user pilot.
Yeah, this is, we've got what we call a cloud calculator, which is like a menu. It's got all of our unit costs. We've got probably, I don't know, 20 different cloud desktop configurations. We've got just as many server configurations. We've got server storage. We've got phone systems. We've got Exchange. We've got SharePoint. These are all these parts and pieces that you could rent as part of the cloud, and we kind of go through and we pick them off, and then it adds up the total. And so what I did is I just did a little sample project. This is a very typical, what I would call pilot project. 5 people for 2 months. And typically we put in, if they're primarily doing Revit, we'll put in like a 2-core 16-gig desktop. We'll put in 2 virtual servers. We'll provide about 200 gigs of data, an internet bandwidth into our data center. And that it also includes all the data center security and the IT support. And that's what it ends up. There's a setup fee. If the cost is $900 a month for 5 users, the setup fee is probably $800 or $900 one time. So it's right in that range. So 9 times 3, for the 2-month commitment, it's about $2,500, $2,700 to do a pilot.
One thing that I would point out that maybe Chris didn't touch on is this, just go theoretical for a second and pretend that we're going to break off and make your own firm. And you're starting from scratch. So what would you need to do if you want to work in this day and age of technology? You probably have to go buy PCs and servers, probably hire IT and do all of that investment. If you look at this kind of solution, it's all in one shot. And then you start thinking about, okay, that's how it would work if I was starting from scratch, but how would you go ahead and migrate, some of that work? To me, personally, if I'm going to start a new company, this is the absolute way to go, because I've just eliminated all sorts of overhead costs that I would normally have, to build that infrastructure to get my company going. Whereas this gets you in the door on a monthly subscription without the huge investment up front. And at any time, you basically just stop, where at the end of your term contract, you're done. You don't have, say you're starting up with 10 people, you don't have 10 PCs and 5 servers sitting in a back room, and now you can't do anything with them. You had just rented them out. So, it's another perspective of looking at it. And like I said, I think it's the right route to go for the future. A lot more firms will be doing this as time progresses, and it's just going to take time. It's just a matter of whether you're on the front end of the curve or the back end.
Right. Well, and to your point, you're right. This is certainly the way you want it. I call this an IT high-rise. We've got an IT building, and you just decide, do you want to rent a floor or 2 floors or an office suite? We've already got it built, all the amenities and the common spaces, as opposed to owning your own office building. But firms are even realizing now that, okay, say I've already got a firm, I've already got a business with IT, and I've already got investments in servers and phone systems. How can I take advantage of this? Well, there's certain things that you're trying to do that you can't do with your current environment, like collaborate between offices or with outside consultants. That's really where, like I said, people will start there first. But then they're looking at their annual IT spend on their current environment, and their maintenance costs end up being the same cost as all new stuff or more than what they would have paid in the cloud. So they said, all right, well, I could take a lot of my software investment and I could still run that in the cloud, but all these servers and all this stuff, I could probably repurpose them and do something else, sell them, whatever, and it still costs less to move them into the cloud. So we've got firms migrating at different rates. Some people, their phone systems are dying and they need to have their phones in the cloud. Some people, their email server's dying and they want to do that. So some people will trickle in. Other people will say, I want to move everything at once. So it really depends on your business, and we've got to look at that on a case-by-case basis. What else?
Any more questions?
Well, that's nothing else. It's about 30 minutes, and like I said, you can follow with Dave and Steve. They'll be local, and they can pull me in or anytime.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
We're good? Hang up?
We're good.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for having me.
Fortunately, Chris wasn't able to make it today. Due to Hurricane Sandy, when I thought it would be best to cancel his flight. So can't blame him.